All right, I think we are live. So, I guess just a quick description. I'm going to go over how to use libDragon to make a game for this year's Game Jam. So if you're new to N64 development, hopefully this gets you a lot of the way there. And if you are a beginner completely with game development, this really isn't a good starting point. Like, I'm not going to tell you that you should, if you're really motivated, you can try to follow the steps and see where you go with it, but just know that programming for C is challenging. So, anyway, I am going to, I want to be sure I'm actually live here. Okay, yeah, I am live. Oh, yep, I see we have viewers. Excellent. So, I'm just going to jump straight into it then. So, here we go. Just getting my setup here. Good to go. Okay. So, to start off, you want to be... My dog wants to get out. She's gonna keep scratching if I don't. Of course, she's gonna start scratching to come back in. So, anyway, hello. All right. So, and I'm gonna go. I have kind of some plans on what I'm gonna go over, but if you have questions at any point, please ask them. So, first step, I'm just gonna come to the Discord and show you quickly what the rules are. So it's not too late to join this game jam. It's going until December 13th. I think 13th is the right date. So join, and you can make a very simple mini game. You don't think you have to go very crazy. And this the link to the Discord is in the, it's up on the screen right now. I think I put it in the description too. But if you come here, we can see the rules for this year's Game Jam, this information. So this one is actually kind of cool. You can make as many entries as you want. We are basically making Mario Party as a group. So everybody makes a mini game, which I think is a really cool idea for a Game Jam. And it'll all be put into a single ROM. And while you're not going to have like the board of the mini game or the board of Mario Party, at least not initially. If somebody really was motivated, they might build something, but I wouldn't count on it. Anyway, so yeah, you can just make you can be solo. If you want to try to find a team, there's a channel where people do that. They're trying to join up with teams, and you can add people to your team later, so don't feel like you have to get your team set up right away. Anyway, so the first step though is we need to, if you come to this information, you'll see we want to start with a, is it in the, okay, right here. No, that's dish.io. It was here, based off this template. There we go. I should have been reading more carefully. So here's the template that you use to start the game. But it has a few requirements. And this has it has a description of how to set it up here. So I'm not going to go into great detail. And if you run into problems or you have questions, you can always join this Discord and just ask questions in the help and questions section. But the first thing you need to do is you need to get libDragon installed. So I already have it installed, but I'm still going to go over the steps here. So at least how I did it. So you're going to want to scroll down till you find the getting started, how to install. So there's actually two things you need to do. You need to install the toolchain. So the toolchain is what lets you compile games for the N64. And it's GCC, but it compiles to MIPS, which is the CPU, and so you have that tool chain, and then the library itself is what libDragon is, what gets built. And the question is, how many years have you been programming for the N64? Since about 2020, so about 4 years now. So we'll just go ahead and jump into this section here, the full installation instructions. Thank you for watching my videos. Anyway, Andre Shelf. That's what I was saying. Thank you to. I don't know how to say. I said your name wrong. I'm sorry. Please still watch my videos. Um, so here's installing. So there's actually a few options here. I actually just did option 3, but keep in mind this option. I built the tool chain myself, and that's what option 3 is. But it's really easy to do. You just go run a script, and then it builds the tool chain for you. And then after you have that done, then you can actually build libDragon. But there are other options. But whatever you pick, be sure that whatever method of installation you choose, you have to install the preview branch. The preview branch is what it has a lot of the newer features that the 3D graphics and what the template's based on depends on. So be sure to use the preview branch. And so like it gives suggestions on how to do preview depending on how you go through it. So if you're familiar with Docker, you can use Docker to install. If you don't know Docker, don't bother. You can just come to one of the two options, 2 or 3, which again I think 3 is fine. It's really easy to follow these steps and build the tool chain. So we've got that. So I'm gonna actually pull up VS Code and show you my libDragon installation. I'm porting my first N64 game I made in the first game jam to PC. This is what this project is. A little sneak peek into that. But I need to pull up libDragon. Oh yeah, I'm live now. So yeah, it's going to be a little sloppier. I hope it's watchable for people who are actually interested in watching this or learning how to do this. If there's interest in making an actual condensed video on this, let me know, because I want to encourage people to make games for N64 if there's interest there. So if I were following these instructions, so I've checked out libDragon using git into a directory, and then I can come here and it's important that you specify these variables, and then like put them in your bash rc file. Oh, and I guess one thing I forgot to mention, I'm using Linux, and I frankly think that's the best way to do development. If you're on Windows, you can use WSL2, which is, you're just running Linux in Windows. OS X, I'm not familiar with that. You're gonna have to, yeah, I have no advice in there to make it work. I mean, it does say that it works. So, okay, so you install Build Essential, and then you'd come to this tools directory inside of libDragon here, and then you see there's this build tool chain script. Let me zoom in. Build toolchain.sh. So you would run that. I'm not going to run it because it would take way too long to run it, but I run it, and then boom, it would succeed, hopefully. And then after you do that, then you can come back and you can run the build.sh, and that will build the libDragon. It'll actually build some examples too, and that now you're installed. Now libDragon is installed. But again, be sure that you are on the preview branch when you do this, because if you're not on the preview branch, then, well, you're going to have trouble. So that's the first step. The next step, coming back to the template, you need to have Tiny3D installed. So it's a 3D library for the 3D rendering of graphics, and it has its own install instructions. After you have libDragon installed, you can come here. You need to, let's see, where's the build? Okay, right here. So I'm gonna just pull up Tiny3D, and again, you're gonna make sure you have the latest on Tiny3D, which I guess if you haven't done this yet, you just checked it out, you're gonna have the latest. But again, this just has a build.sh script that you can run, and then after that, let's see, that looks like that's as simple as they made those instructions. So if you've done all of that right, then you should be able to come here to the jam template, which I already have checked out here, and you should be able to do, I'm on the main, so you should be able to do just a make, just running make. Let me do make clean really quick. That doesn't seem to, there we go. So yeah, so running make, it'll build these examples, it'll build the game as it stands. And I've actually already added some launch settings that let me run this in a debugger. So if I can just say debug with Aries, I'll just push hotkey for that, and you can see this pops up. First you choose how many players you want, and then here are all of the games that are currently in the ROM. So each team's going to be adding a little bit of, or each adding games to this. So I don't know, here's one snake. Oh man, that sound. So yeah, so Aries is a cycle accurate, or tries to be a cycle accurate emulator, which means really if you're doing N64 development, you want to use Aries. N64 could potentially work too, but really it's not actively developed. Use Aries for testing. It is very slow. Like it's funny to watch an N64 game be emulated so slow, even on a modern computer, although I am on a not super fast laptop. But anyway, you can see this is an example minigame they have. So this is one you can look at the code for this minigame to just start building your own. So anyway, so you can see example minigame. You can use it as a starting point. I'm gonna go with this last snake. There we go, and there we go. See, I just won the minigame, and then it gets the minigame is responsible for reporting who won or not who won. When the minigame ends, I don't think it reports who won. I think that's because they wanted to make it so if you want to do like a 3v1 minigame, you could. I'm not certain about that though. But either way, you can see that's how the ROM works. Let's go ahead and pull apart one of these. Let's pull apart how this works. And so they actually made it so every single minigame compiles to a dynamically linked library that gets loaded when the game loads and then unloaded. So you don't have to worry about namespace conflicts with the other minigames, which is a really smart move on their part. So, so you'll have to add, let's see, I'm actually kind of coming at this a little new. I've done some poking, but I'm actually not, I'm not an expert on this. So I'm going to be figuring this out on stream and hopefully not wasting everybody's time doing it. But so here is the API that the minigame that you need to call. You call minigame end to end the minigame. That's kind of the only API you need to know from the minigame's perspective, calling back to the system. But every minigame needs to have a few functions in it. So you have a minigame init. This is what gets called to start up to initialize your game. You have minigame fixed loop. This is where you want to update logic. So if you've ever heard about fixed time steps, this is that. And this will get called at a regular interval even if the frame rate's lagging. And then you also have minigame loop, and as far as I can tell, this is where you want to do your rendering. So you get the display to render a frame, and then you do all the rendering, and then you call detach show, and so that's what renders to the screen there. And then minigame cleanup, you call that when you're done, and that's the interface to the minigame that you need to support. So it's pretty straightforward there. I'm not an expert in this. I'm not an expert in their template here, and I mean, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm the expert. Maybe K's is really good. I would defer to him. But all right, does the small editor space encourage code quality? You know, it might. Maybe I'm just trying to make it visible on stream. So, are you planning to port Portal back to N64 with libDragon? So that, I think it's the thing is Valve still just doesn't really want their game distributed through a platform that they don't have control over. So all of the mods that people make of their games, they distribute on Steam. But Portal 64, like, even if I could figure out a way to distribute a ROM on stream or on Steam, it's still not like that. You have to pull the ROM out of the Steam files to actually run it, and it's not. They're not interested. So anyway, a complete and well-coded minigame. All right, pages of code, something decent. Yeah. So so now I'm going to make. I'm going to start our mini game here, and I'm not going to go. Okay, I'm actually already a little ahead of what I was thinking I'd be at right now, which is nice. Any questions so far? If there's anybody who's wanting to make mini games, yeah, I don't know libDragon. Yeah, I'm hoping to go over some of that. That's actually a good point. I'll try to get that. Explain some of that. So I am going to make a new folder, not open containing folder. Our mini game is, I guess, the best way I could describe it, it would be like competitive top-down rampage, I think, is kind of where, I don't know, it's not the best description, but either way, I'm just going to call it rampage. You're just going to be one of 4 giant beings that are going and destroying buildings, and there are tanks trying to slow you down, and whoever destroys the most buildings wins. So I'm just going to use one of these as an example here. I'm surprised the example game doesn't have a make file. I have to figure out what's going on there, but I'm assuming I need one. So I'm just going to do rampage.c. Oh, good old C. I think you could use C++ with this as well, but oh wait, I'm copying the name. Rampage.make. All right. So, like I was talking about before, I want to grab the minigame init. I want to grab the fixed loop. I want to grab minigame loop. And I want to grab cleanup. So here are my functions I want to pull in. The header files I want, I think I just want to do core and minigame and libDragon. Yeah, I definitely want that. All right, so we've got that. Okay, so the make file here, it looks like you specify the assets that you want access to, and then font 64. See this, I'm guessing that there's an assets folder, polyquiz. Yeah, there's a font there, and then I'm assuming that the way they built these make files, where if it says that you want a font 64, it knows how to build it, but you're able to add some flags to specify size and whatnot. But then what happens is these assets get compiled. Yeah, so you specify the assets as you want them generated. So if we were to come here to the assets, you can see polyquiz here. We have the PNGs. Oh, clever. So they make it so you can specify the image format using the file extension, it appears. So that's a nice trick. And then these actually get compiled into this folder here, the file system. So you can see the parallel structure, but here we have polyquiz. And so these are the sprites batched and ready in the format for the N64 to use. And same thing with this font. So that looks like the make file. What we're doing there is we're just specifying the assets we want. So I might just drop in a hello world something. Okay, and then here's, yeah, I should do that. If I can stop and read some questions. Do these tools require old hardware, or will programming work on new hardware? It works on new hardware. So they've built a whole tool chain where it compiles GCC for MIPS MIPS architecture, and it's all modern. So you can even use Docker if you're familiar with that. So it's pretty awesome. How's the homebrew C for the N64? The people developing the tools are really active and quite awesome. There's, I guess, like Rasky is one guy who's doing a lot of work on libDragon. He's added like MPEG support, so you can play full motion video for your games, which is awesome. And because you're going to be distributing on EverDrive, you have more memory. You can do those full motion videos, and then Helder Dongado is the guy who's been doing the Tiny 3D, which is the 3D library, and so they've been doing lots of work, great work. They respond pretty well to feedback if you find issues, so that's very active there. We're still trying to. Let's see. There are people who are making games, but clearly it's hard to make games. Me being one of them making games, and I feel like I've bit off more than I can chew, and I don't know how long it'll take me to get what I want done, and we'll see how that goes. But I think it's actually the tooling is really good for making N64 games right now. So I'd recommend getting into it if you're interested. Yeah, it's funny how the tools for developing N64 games are better than the emulators used to test said games. Right. Ares is decent. I would use Ares. But, and actually, you can use Ares. I have it set up to run in a debugger. So I can actually put breakpoints in my code and pause. Although, I hope that works with the DLL. I didn't even consider that. But when you run Ares, you have to give it some arguments at the start, and there's settings where you say the debug server, you give it a port, you enable it. I guess you're telling it you have IPv4, and then that will have the emulator open up that port, and then if you connect to that port with GDB, it will debug your game. It does not pause the execution of the games, it just runs right away. So I typically add like a delay at the very start of my games internally to give the time for the debugger to connect. But anyway, that's a side thing. And then here in the launch, you can see I have it set up so you have to use GDB multi-arch. That's something to take note. You can just apt install that if you're familiar with that. You specify the ELF file so it knows the symbols where they're located, and then you just tell it to remotely connect to localhost and the port that you exposed when running Ares, and it connects up, and you have debugger stuff. It's pretty good. Hard. Does it seem to be an understatement? I would probably just make 3D lo-fi retro, but modern. Yeah, no, N64 Homebrew is difficult. They've made it a lot easier for sure, though, with libDragon. Anyway, let's come back to actually starting to get something on the screen here. So what I want to do. So I'm just gonna very first thing I'm just gonna do mini game end. I'm just gonna call mini game end. Well, actually, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a timer, and then I'm going to say timer is equal, I don't know, 4 seconds, and then I'm gonna say timer minus equals delta time. If timer is less than or equal to 0, then we end the minigame. That'll at least give some time. So our minigame is going to do absolutely nothing, but I just want to actually be able to have it show up. But I'm assuming that I still need to add this to a list somewhere, that like this is not quite sufficient. So I'm going to double check that. It might just automatically find it. And in fact, let's just try it. Let's just see what happens if I make and then I run. Okay. Unable to find symbol minigame def in Rampage DSO. Okay, I should go back and read the instructions. Okay. Oh, 1 second, there's a Discord message. Just wondering if I should not get distracted. I did promise I was gonna stream. I was telling these people I won't post. I'm gonna close that so I don't get distracted anymore. Sorry. Okay, here we go. There's a minigame def. That's what I need. So I need to find that struct. Okay. I missed that. But that's easy enough. That makes sense because what you need to have text. So our team name we're going ultra rare is our team name. I've used that team name since like my first jam. So description, destroy the most buildings to win. Instructions, I'll worry about that later. I'm just going to call it Rampage for now. I have to consult my team if we come up with a better name, but that's a good working name. All right, so now if I run it, build, run Ares. Yeah, this is for the jam. Okay, I should stick with one player. Medium. There we go, Rampage. So I push, and it just immediately comes back. It should at least be waiting a few seconds. Interesting. I am actually unsure if I'll be able to use the debugger though. I'm gonna try it, put a breakpoint in, run this. If I can't use it, I guess I'll show how to do console log debugging actually, because okay, so debugger's not gonna work. I can work with that. So what you should do though, if you want to debug things, which is good, so you want to do std, yeah, standard IO, and then you want to do a fprintf, and you want to do standard error is where you output, and then I'm going to say time left %f for the timer. Oh, let's put a new line on that, otherwise it's going to become unreadable. All right, so now I'm just going to use running normally then, no debugger. And so I might modify this to go straight to my minigame. Okay, so there we go. So you can see you can get console logs inside wherever you're running Ares. You'll get console log output from standard error, which is hugely helpful. So yeah, it looks like it's printing. Yeah, there's a GDB server for Ares. I think what the problem is the mini games are dynamically linked, and so it doesn't. I might be able to figure out how to tell the debugger about the symbols after it gets loaded. I'd have to figure that out though. All right, so it looks like, in fact, I can pull this up. Rampage. Is it just that the frame rate's unrestricted? That's probably what it is. That's absolutely what it is. So what I need to do, I'm going to come back to polyquiz. I just want to copy paste code. I don't want to. This one's long. Example game's faster. All right. So yeah, use these examples as templates. Start with that. That's honestly my recommendation would be grab one of the mini game examples and just start making changes to it. Like right now there's a snake game where you have to go bite each other, but maybe you could modify it where you have to go be the one to collect the most apples that fall, and you can just use those assets. That's fine, right? And then once you get that working, maybe you want to make your own assets, but that's kind of how I recommend doing this if you're completely new to this. Okay, but I need to call right here, already the attach, get display, and then detach show. So the display get, if I understand, it waits until there is a frame buffer available. So it's what's blocking, I guess is the point. So this should slow down that main loop and make it so my minigame doesn't exit instantly. So let's give that a try. All right. N64 Studio like game-based GB Studio. You know, as I continue to work on my game, I want to refine the game engine and make it more user-friendly. I don't know if I'll get GB Studio levels of user-friendly, unless, I don't know, maybe if people really start to like using it. Oh, there we go. That's a bad. Oh, I think I need to initialize something in mine. Anyway, but if people are interested in that and the project starts to grow, then maybe other people would be willing to help with making it more user friendly. But I'm more interested in making a game, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time making a game engine, which I think is good advice. Okay, I'm going to try this in my init here. Init, and then okay. Display get. I mean, yeah, definitely it's a framework. Okay, there we go. I just needed to init the screen, init. So after 4 seconds, it should take me back. There we go. So there we go. That's my mini game. You just wait, nobody wins. So we need to fix that. So all right. So I want to, what do I want to do next? Does anybody have any questions? Maybe I could go into this because I don't know. I think I want to try loading a 3D model. That's, I think, one of my next things I'm going to do. So Snake 3D has 3D models in it. There's the blend and the GLB. I imagine that might be that's probably an exported format. And then I would assume if I come to the Snake assets here, yes. So the T3DM is the model, and I'm assuming it corresponds with these Snake 3D GLB files. So if I come to, is GLB a standard format? It doesn't sound like, but it might be. I don't recognize it. So yeah, right here. So here's what compiles the assets. So yeah, for every T3M file that exists, it expects, well, if it finds a GLB, it will convert it to, well, no, so I guess the way it works is it expects a T3DM file. And so it says the way I build this is if it ends in that, I take the start of that file and look for a corresponding GLB in the assets directory, and here are the scripts that it runs. And so it looks like make asset, that compiles it. The T3D GLTF to 3D, that tool just must exist because of the tool chain. No, it must be being included inside of T3D would be my guess. So I can look for that. There we go. So if I pull that open and then open up its make file, here we are. Yep, so this is the tool. Okay. So that's what does the conversion. GLB, I'm gonna I'll just pull up Blender and take a look. So I think I'm just gonna try to get something showing up on the screen, and then I think I'll call that good for the stream. Because I don't want to, I don't know, I'm trying to make sure I'm not making, like, I want to make sure the streams have meaningful content. I don't want to just, yeah. All right, I'm gonna make this my building. So I'm gonna do my units. One unit would be Well, I always usually do meters, but for making a game where you're the scale of like a building, I don't think I want to do meters. Yeah, K's, yeah, his stuff is really good. I he did a normal mapping one recently, and I wasn't entirely sure how he did it, but it's pretty cool. He uses like the like textures indexed. Oh, no, he uses index textures. So like every pixel is just an index into a list of colors, and then he's able to pre-calculate what colors things should be. And so when it gets when it renders, it does real time normal mapping. It's pretty cool. I I thought it was very well done. So anyway, I don't know. I'm just gonna assume that the creatures are gonna be roughly 2 meters tall. So like this would be a building about the height of one of the creatures. So I'm just gonna, this is going to be my building. So I'm gonna come to Portal, where did I put this? Yeah, I still have my Portal 64 repo here. I can't delete it. So, where did I put this? It's just GitHub. Oh, this is Tiny3D. 1 second. N64. That would be a good place to put it. Here we go. So I'm going to come here to Assets. I'm going to make a new folder for our team. Rampage. And then I'm going to call this building.blend. And then I'm going to see about this. It just already exists, and I just didn't. Oh yeah, look at that. So I can just export that. I'm not sure how that works with materials though. Like, anyway. Okay, but the important thing is if you can generate one of those. Although I wrote, so with my game project, I actually wrote my own mesh converter because I wanted more control and be able to add features that aren't in the T3D's default mesh format. I probably won't use it for this though. I don't know, because like features like being able to do like frames of animation in textures, or being able to attach things and put things in people's characters' hands and things like that. And I figured like maybe I should get in contact with Hell to Dodongo. Hell to Dodongo. I'm words. Maybe he'd be interested in me just helping contribute to his. Although the key feature I really want from my exporter is the ability to export from a blend file directly. So that way I don't have to go and manually do this export blah every time. That's really what I want, and I don't think this has anything like that, no. Just because it's so much easier to be able to just do a quick save and then run, and it just builds everything for you rather than needing to do that manual step every time. But anyway, I have that file. So assets, rampage, great. Okay, so now I can come here and make my own, add to my own assets here. Asset list plus equals. I'm just gonna copy file system, rampage, building dot, and the extension is T3DM. All right. So the next thing I want to do, okay, the fonts are done differently. I guess because the fonts it needs to specify the size you want. All right, next thing I want to do is I want to be able to load that asset. So I'm just going to look at Snake 3D. I actually don't use the default the model loader. I'm just going to copy all these header files. I don't know which ones I need right now. I know that's probably bad practice, isn't it? But I'm doing it anyway. All right, so here's we have our model. I'm going to do, this is the building. And then we need to, in the initialize, load that. So that's just going to be T3D animal. Oh, cool. It's you can do skeletal. That's right. You can do skeletal animation. I don't need that though. The model. Where is that? Oh, that's play. Oh, there's a function for play it in it. I see. Okay. Here's I think where we have our T3D model loading. Okay, great. So I just need to copy that. ROM, RAM page, building. Okay. So we loaded our model, and then snake. Okay, so I'm gonna go look up. This is the init, and there's an RSP block. Oh yeah. So what this does. So one thing, if you are familiar with libDragon, which I'm going to assume you're not. So one thing you can do with libDragon is you can build pre-built display lists, so to speak. So what that means is you can build out a list of commands that get sent to the GPU once, and that becomes what they call a block in libDragon. And then that block, you can just run that block as one chunk, and it will do all of. And so that way, you save a lot of CPU time and, more importantly, memory access, generating those blocks every single time. So you're able to generate it once ahead of time, and then that block gets reused when you actually do the rendering code, and which is really the optimal strategy you should go for. You should try to do as little work per frame if you can do things ahead of time, particularly with memory access. Actually, because if you can manage to fit your algorithm or your chunk of code into the CPU cache, like if it fits nicely in the CPU cache and both the memory and the instructions, you could pretty much do those computations as long as, well, you could do those computations almost for free in the sense that the memory is the bottleneck. So I'm kind of wanting to try to do some sort of like physics simulations, like cloth simulation or water simulation, and try to get them to fit both in the cache for RAM and instructions, because you could just sit there and run that code and iterate, and so long as you're not touching the RAM, like, you're really not going to be affecting performance that much. So I want to try something like that sometime, but that is something else. Maybe I'll make a video on that later. Cloth simulation for N64. I'm like breaking any of this up into smaller videos. This stream I probably won't. I don't know if I don't have time. I'm going to be releasing my next video soon. But I don't think I have time to make this a more condensed thing. But if you have any questions, yeah, minimize RAM bus usage equals vroom vroom. Yes, absolutely. But if you have questions, be sure to have the link here or the QR code for the Discord channel. Join that. Go to the help questions section. That is, you should go there. And if you have questions on things. Anyway, so what I need to do now though is I need to do the camera setup. So I'm just gonna go do that. I'm just gonna copy their code. Let's see, copy pasta is the best. I think I can do that before the attach. Yeah, I can, because the T3D. I think I actually want to do some. I think there's some T3D initialization code I actually need to run. I need to be sure I'm calling that. Let's see. T3D create viewport. That, I think that's just something you need to run, create like that. You can actually call that once per frame, if I remember correctly. I don't think I can control click through that now, but I think it just initializes the data structure. Although you want that data structure to persist across frames, so you do want it to be global. Anyway, just making sure I'm not missing any. Okay, yeah, T3D init. Definitely want to copy that over. Put that after display init. Okay, yeah, and I want to get the depth buffer for sure, which I think they just have these in some globals up here. Yep. Depth buffer, viewport, I'm still in that. And then I'm going to come down to both of those. I'm wondering how they're going to, if they actually let you change to a higher resolution other than 320 by 240. N64 does support 640 by 480. It's just that if you games that try doing that end up running really slow. And so it's bigger, but the frame rate's terrible. So I think that's kind of, anyway, if you tried making a mini game with that resolution, I'm just wondering, like, would there be issues? I don't know. It does? Cool. Oh, I think that's Rasky there. Thank you for all of your work on this. This is really cool. Okay. I guess could I ask, if you wouldn't mind putting an explanation in the chat, like, how does the, when you do display init, how does it handle taking memory from the heap? And, like, I'm assuming that if you're using low resolution, you want to use the space not for the frame buffers. You want that available to the heap. But then, if you tried to initialize a bigger frame buffer, but it just wasn't. Anyway, I'm just curious how, like, that memory management works. I could dive into it, I suppose, but that's one thing I've always wondered. Like, the challenge of switching resolutions mid game is that you need the more memory for the screen, but if something's in that space, you can't just forcibly take it. You need to make sure it's cleared. Okay, cool. Yep, GLB is an open format. That's good to know. Okay, I guess it's nice though that they made it so it was a GLB conversion, not Blender. So if, like, if you weren't forced to use Blender, although I don't know what else you use these days. Okay, so I think I've done T3D in it. I've created the viewport. I've down here, I've copied over the code that lets me okay, right here. I've set the projection, view it, look at. I'm going to have to copy the camera position and target. Although, camera position, we do 0x. I'm assuming y is up, so I'm going to do, like, I don't know, 6, and then z -2. Camera target, I'll just do the origin for now. And then, all right, so I do the look at and the projection, and then I do want to clear the screen. That's an important thing to do. Otherwise, I will have issues. Oh, 125. Oh, it's probably scaled up. I should double check that, like, because N64, the coordinates on the models are using, like, essentially like a fixed point integer, but I think they're just integers though for the models. And so when you create your matrices, you need to take that into account. So I need to double check that. Anyway, I do want to clear here. I want to do that. T3, that's important. T3D frame start. All right. I want to clear both of these. I do need to attach the depth buffer. I didn't have that before. And then they set up lighting. I don't know if I'm gonna do that. Okay, yeah, it's not clearing to black. That's gonna be helpful for me. And then doing the player draw, and then detach show. Okay, yeah, so I think I have everything there. I just need to actually draw the 3D model, which I'm assuming, yeah, okay, so they have the snake block here that generate ahead of time. I'm just gonna pull out the T3D model draw is what I want. I don't want anything else. And then I just want to grab my building model that I created and drop that in. All right. Missing braces around initializer. Is it like a union or something? Oh, I can't control click to that. Let me just pull up T3D separately. I'll fix my include imports later, so I can get better autocomplete. But T3D, what was this? A Vec 3. No, it's just a struct, but it's a struct that has an array. So I'm thinking in order to get it so I can initialize properly, I just need to wrap this around, double wrap it. One nesting layer for the struct, the other nesting layer for the array. Oh, whoa. The converter crashed. Ah, okay. It has no FAST64 data. That's good to know. I was wondering if I needed that. So FAST64, if you're not familiar with it, is like the best Blender plugin if you're doing graphics for N64 games. It lets you preview materials as if it's and it makes it look like the N64. And this is used for ROM hacking, and it's now being used a lot for homebrew. But I already have it installed. I just need to come up and turn it on. But yeah, be sure to install this then. The instructions for installing it are on the website there. So FAST64, okay, so it is enabled. Oh, I just need to come over here to the materials and say create FAST3D material. There we go. That's better. I'm going to delete that. So I'm just going to do shaded solid. Yeah, that's fine. So now if I actually come and click into preview mode, you can see that it previews it as if it's an N64 material. Like if I what is it called, viewport shading, if I turn viewport shading on, it will look like the N64. So okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to come back over here, export this. Although I'm curious how it's gonna when I export, how it is going to include. Oh wait, I might have to use a plugin specific exporter. FAST64. There's F3D exporter. No, that's not what I need. You want to make a Dance Dance Revolution game for the N64? It's funny you say that. My next video, I'm using my USB adapter to use all kinds of weird controllers, and one of them is the DDR pad. So I played Star Fox. It kind of worked, but okay. I'm just gonna try it with the export as is. Okay, so it's still not there. Okay, let me just read the text. I should actually slow down and read. If you're using FAST64, make sure to enable and include custom properties. Okay, so I have to see. This is why I'm going through this. Is I wanna have these problems that people include custom properties. There we go. Export. Okay, I actually might write a Python script that does the export. You can actually load up Blender from a command line argument and say run this script, and so you can use Blender as like you can open up Blender but have it without a window and then do all kinds of operations including an export, and then all from a command line call. So now if I run it, still not working. GLTF to 3D, source parser, assertion, the attribute data type. I don't know what that is. This might be a bug that needs to be reported, but I will see if I can figure it out myself. So this is going to probably be part of Tiny3D, right? Where is this source? Source parser. Okay. I might have to pull the latest of Tiny3D. 1 second. Yeah, I'm already on main. Pull origin main. All right, tools, here we are. Okay, so if the assertion is in parser 176. Okay, right here. 176. All right. Okay, it looks like my lines don't match up perfectly. Let's just find the assertion instead. This. Here we are. Okay, that's probably it. So it's saying if it's a type color, then it expects it to be a vector 4. I wonder, do I just need... I was wondering if I should just rebuild this and then hope that it has fixed, that maybe this has been addressed already. Because like that code has changed, although, oh good. Oh, I have to just run sudo to, you can't see my hands, can you? Okay. Maybe you saw a little bit of my password. Don't tell anyone. All right. I'm gonna run that and hope that, okay, build over. I'm gonna just do a make clean because I have a new library now. Let that run. Okay, so still to have the same problem. And then but now my line, yeah, but then now the line matches up, so that'll make it easier to debug. So it's saying the attribute, what attribute is it? Primitive attribute. It's the color, and it's expecting it to be a vector 4. I mean, what is it then? I could just do a, printf. What type is this? I'm assuming it's like a enum. Yeah, that's an enum. So I should be able to do is equal to this. And then make, how do I just only build this? I'm just gonna do the build again. Maybe it's not very efficient, but all right, cool. So now if I run that, did it print out for me? No. Yeah, it's then on the new line. It's probably, is it silencing that? Maybe if I printed the standard error, it wouldn't silence it. Let me try that. fprintf. I want to see. Okay. Okay, here we go. 3. I should add a new line. Was it there before? I just didn't see it because I forgot to add a new line. All right, so 3 would be 0, 1, 2, 3, vector 3. So it's just complaining that my color has 3 instead of 4. I feel like that should just be I should be able to do this. Assert that it's one of the two. And then then down here, I just say if it's 4, then I read the vector. Otherwise, I just make it 1. That's a good default. Oh, there are 2 lines here. I have mixed feelings about that formatting. All right, cool. So now, hopefully, oh, okay, and then, okay, linear, okay, so that's just gamma correction. That only applies to the first 3 channels anyway. So now if I do it, okay. So now if I make this, okay, that seems to have worked. I might just submit a pull request for that. All right. So, assuming I did everything right, which is very possible that I didn't. Okay, well, I'm clearing the screen. But I'm not seeing my... Okay, but if I give it time, hopefully it goes back. That's okay, so it didn't crash, at least. Oh, I think, okay, no, I think I know what it is. There's a fixed scale. I'm wondering if this has it documented in it. I'm assuming because you should really just mute your audio and cut video when typing a password. Oh, yeah. So what you're saying is I need to change my password. Well, I don't reuse this password outside of this computer, so you'd have access to that too, but that's a good point. There are ways to guess passwords people are very good at hacking with ways you would just not expect. Anyway, I need to just, I think what I need to do is I need to move this up to just be bigger. I think I saw values like in the hundreds. I'm just going to do 125 up here. I think I saw something like that in back 50. And then run that. Okay, I do want to figure out a way to have it jump straight to my minigame. Still no. Okay, what were their camera starting points? Do I need to, oh, maybe I need to scale my model. Maybe that's all it is that it might just do integer conversion and not actually scale. Because when I do my processing pipelines, I make it so like I have a default scale that it applies to all the models to convert from floating point to an integer. And because you want there to be some precision in there. I'm just going to try that then. So this right here, I'm going to scale up by, I don't know, 64. That was not great. Let me try that again. I'm going to scale from the origin of the object. There we go. I'm going to give that a try. What I should do, I should check the 3D models that exist already. Let me export this first, but then I'm going to open up one of those and just double check that that's the case. Not STL. I'm 3D printing brain. All right. Include. Okay, so still checked. Building. I'm going to... After that finishes, that takes a long time to export for just a very simple model. All right, I'm going to come back to snake and open up the snake. And let's just see. All right, so no, this is definitely like reasonable size. So it probably does scale the model. So I'm going to go back to mine. And building, I'm going to wrap up the stream here soon. Oh wait, I didn't mean to save that. It doesn't matter. I just changed some inconsequential things. So I do want to scale this back down to 1/64. Oh crap, I did the... Okay. I'm going to apply the scale. There. All right, so I don't think that was it. Let's reapply that. Does it scale by 64? If so, that would be why. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. That's good to know. Okay. I'm hoping to just get this building to show up, and then I'll call that when I finish off here. But I'm just not sure what I'm missing. I'm gonna double check there's not anything like obvious that I'm missing in their drawing. But so I can just go through their drawing. So the first thing, this is a good review anyway, right? So you set up the projection matrix and the view matrix so that, yeah, projection view. Ooh, I need to make sure that my far clipping plane is good enough there. So 64 scaling, that sounds about right then, looking at these numbers. Okay, then you specify the camera position. Wonder why I need to specify the viewport for that. That's interesting. I'd only expect it for projection, but oh well, you specified anyway. Okay, player loop. So that's just getting controller data. We start the frame. We initialize T3D for the frame. We attach the viewport. I'm going to pull my code up side by side so I can verify that I'm doing the important stuff. And I haven't hit any snags with the template, no. It's been pretty good so far. Though I'm just trying to get some sort of 3D something to show up on screen. And so I have a 3D model. I've exported it. I used Fast64. And there's no errors. It's just not showing up. So I'm just trying to figure out what's showing up. Yeah, Boo here in the chat right now. He's the one who organizes these game jams every year, and it's awesome. So thank you so much for doing that. So he also does a lot of work. He's built out Umfloater. Is that how you're supposed to pronounce that? I've never known. It's it lets you upload games from your PC to a flash cart that has a USB port, and it's awesome. So yeah, it's not Boo. The other people help organize it, but Boo's always involved, so I do appreciate it. Yes. Let's see. Do you use any special compiler or flags or anything to rename your vars, classes, etc. to make them shorter to save bytes? So C just discards that information unless you compile in debug mode. But basically, just what you do is you just don't include the debug symbols, and that all gets discarded. But typically the binary isn't too big. It's usually an okay size. So, but yeah, so the answer is yeah. There are flags you do, but it's the omission of the debug flags that discards that information. So, and it just discards the names altogether. You don't even have the name, which is interesting. Anyway, back on track here. Clear the color, clear the depth, and then they set lights. I'll set lights. I don't think that's what this is, but I could be wrong. I'm just going to steal these existing ones. Color lighter vec. So I'm guessing what that is. Color I'm guessing what that does. It's the minigame loop. Where's that defined? Lighter vec. So yeah, so it needs to normalize it. I'm just going to drop that in to here. It's going to renormalize it every frame. Not efficient, but it's the only thing happening in the frame. I have lots of overhead here I can work with. Get it working first, optimize later. In fact, I could probably have that normalize each frame after we're done, and it wouldn't be noticeable. So, but anyway. All right, so I set the lights, and then the DPL map. I'm not sure what I'll have to double check. Oh, that's running that's running the map, rendering the map, the display list to draw that. Then it loops through and draws all the players. It creates a sync point. I'm not sure what that feature does. Sync point. Let me see if I can figure out based on the context here. Sync point 0. If sync point, then we wait for the sync point. I see. So I think what it does is it's a sync point between the CPU and the GPU. So what we can do here, something like that. I'm not going to go too much into that, but I don't need to worry about that right now. Have you ever used C++? No, you can use C++. I have mixed feelings about C++. That the downside with using C++ is it's really easy to accidentally use templates in a way that generates a lot more code than you meant, which leads to your binary inflating in size, which also means more code means maybe if you wrote it manually, it would have been less code, which is better for the cache. That's probably a premature optimization. Really, if you want to use C++, just use C++. But I haven't used it to make a game directly. I have written tools in C++. One of the tools for Portal 64 is written in C++, but Anyway, all right. So sync tile, sync pipe. That's that. I'm not doing textures yet, so that shouldn't matter. And then this is just printing text to the screen, which I'm not doing the detached show. Okay, interesting. So that seems to be nothing here. Calculate view space position. Okay, so that's just getting the text that floats over the player's head, I believe. Yeah. But I don't need that. I just care about the players. So I'm going to come back up here, run the block. So this block is generated. Let's come here to see how this block is generated. So everything between these two is what gets run in that block. So we push a matrix. I could try that. I don't think I need to, because by default, just if you don't use a matrix, it's going to be just placed at the origin untransformed. So I don't think I need to do that. Set color and then draw skinned. I'm just going to do the regular draw. I don't need to draw it skinned. So, and then set primitive color. Okay. No, I'm not seeing anything that I'm doing wrong. I might cut off. Dang, I feel like I always cut these streams off at such oh, what? I cut them off with like unsatisfying times. Like I should leave you guys being like, look, I did it. Now we're done. But I'm always like, dang, this doesn't work. I guess I'll fix it later. And then, yeah. But, all right, I need to come to, where are the settings? Hold up. Did I do import? If I chose import, that would explain it. There we go. Include. Oh, interesting. Oh, that's right, because I closed it and came back. So I want to do custom properties again. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to write a script that can just do that automatically. Okay, so it still failed? What? Include custom properties. Export this guy. Building. Include custom properties. Yeah, maybe I will use my own model format I've been doing with my side project. I select, or was it just still exporting when I ran it? That's probably what it was. I ran away too quickly. There we go. Let's see, my recommendation for C++ on N64 is to use C with objects, avoid most other features. Yeah, that's kind of, oh yeah, there you go, 3D model. I'm not sure what I fixed, but it's working now. So I can, there we go. Now we have a satisfying conclusion. I actually have a 3D model. And well, there's no interaction. I guess, oh, ooh. Well, I can't go back and rerun it. I'll have to figure out what's wrong there. But, satisfying conclusion, new bug. But that's just programming, right? You're just always jumping from one thing to the next. So yeah, so I guess like, so that's how I got something rendering on screen. Don't feel like you have to do 3D. You can do 2D. There's plenty of libDragon 2D examples that would work. But if you're curious about, okay, so it looks like they've implemented the core get player controller. That makes sense. Like they manage the controller from the template level, so you don't have to call the libDragon controllers instead. Controller data. Instead, all you do is you can just grab the data structure here for each player, and you can see that you have the player count. Oh, interesting. So it just gives you the player count. If the current player is less than player count, then you know that they are human. That's good to know. And then you get the controller data, and you can see here that controller data just will have the information you need. So it has, I'm going to make this a single. Get joypad get inputs. What else does it do? It looks like that's it. So the get inputs, if I come to this data structure, control click's not working. Okay, well, you can see it has the stick X and Y. I'm assuming this is an integer, and on N64, this number ranges from -80 to +80 typically. So you want that to be your range. There are some controllers that, in my experience, some third-party controllers where that range is actually to -128 to 127, but that's not standard. And And so I've actually made, in one of my early games, I made it so it was impossible to beat with a real controller, but my crappy controller, it was possible to beat because you can move faster. But anyway, so just something to be aware of if you're new to N64 development. Cap that at 80 and then adjust accordingly. Yeah, but then you can see that's the movement. Where's the button? I'm sure there's... Where's the button? Oh, come on. I guess just if I just click attack, if player not is attack equals true. Okay, this is, oh, that's the AI. That's what that was about, I believe. I can't find where the joypad gets button input. It's got to be on this data structure, though. This is going to be probably part of libDragon. So if I pull that up, there we go. So if I come here, come on. Okay, yeah, this is an enum. That makes sense. Come on. Where's just the structure defined? Type def? Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, yeah. So you have the X and Y stick, and then you have buttons, and the buttons specifies all of the buttons you want. So you would say .btn dot and then one of these buttons. Okay. Oh crap, this is tiny text. Hopefully you were able to read that. Probably not, but okay. Anyway, so if you're just curious how to gather input, so if you're familiar with game development, you can hopefully starting to come together how you're able to render something to the screen and then respond to input. But yeah, so you can just, my recommendation, if you've never done libDragon development before, just copy the Snake 3D game, just copy the folder, rename some things, and use that as your starting point. And yeah, and then that hopefully get you started if you are wondering how to get things done. But anyway, are there any other questions before we wrap up? I think this is about where I wanted to get during the stream. So all right. Yeah, so I'm wrapping up. Yeah, Donny Arts. I just noticed you just joined, and I'm just finishing, but you'll have to go back and watch it. Cool. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and be sure to check out the Discord. The QR code or the link's right there. If you Google the Homebrew Discord, you should be able to find that. But join the Discord. Join the Game Jam. Yeah, it's for a Game Jam. The Game Jam ends December 13th. It's a very low bar here. Like, they provide a template. You only need to make a very simple minigame. You could just do, one of the minigames is the first person to push A wins, right? Like in the example. And if that's about the level you make your minigame, great, right? Don't think you need to make something amazing. You can just make something just to get your feet wet and just to kind of learn. And anyway, so that's kind of recommendations, but yep. Anyway, so thank you everybody. I'll talk to you later. Well, I guess maybe. Have a good